I'm Brian Wilson alongside Larry O'Connor.
Virginia Delegate Tim Hugo represents the 40th District. That includes Clifton, Fairfax Station. He's also the Majority Caucus Chairman of the Virginia House Republican Caucus. And it was a, somewhat eventful and then uneventful day yesterday at your special session in Richmond. What exactly happened? You guys got started and then you were suddenly out of session.
Well, guys, good morning. I usually say it's always it's Christmas. We're always opening a surprise, but I think yesterday was Halloween for me. We were going through, we were going through redistricting. We had to get ready to have a hearing on it. It had already started, and the Virginia Democrats voted to basically shut down the whole process. They and the lieutenant governor just voted that we're going to close up the shop, and so we had to pull the plug right in the middle of a hearing while we're talking about redistricting, trying to do what the governor called us to do, and what the courts asked us to do. It was utterly ridiculous.
So hold on. The governor wants you to come in and deal with this matter, and so you come in, and then all of a sudden they decide that they don't like the way it's going, so they're going to shut it down?
The governor, exactly what happened. It was totally surprised me. Literally, I got a phone call as I'm sitting in the hearing saying, "You're not going to believe this. The Democrats and the lieutenant governor voted. Let's go. They're going to adjourn," and they said, we'll have to pull the plug and recess. I mean, technically, I think what they did is unconstitutional. If you look at Article 4 of the Constitution, it says that point blank, neither house shall, without the consent of the other, adjourn to another place, nor more than 3 days. They can't. We're not supposed to adjourn without the consent of the other for more than 3 days. So, I think the clock's ticking on what they did is unconstitutional. Guys, it's purely a partisan move, but it's typical for this governor who I think thinks he's still chairman of the Democratic National Committee.
Yeah. Well, Tim Hugo, tell us what happens next. Virginians, Democrat and Republican alike, who were very concerned by the gerrymandering and the districting, that the way it's done right now in Virginia, they would like things done in a fair and judicious way.
Well, guys, we were literally listening to testimony, preparing to put out a new map, trying to figure this out, and they pulled the plug. Now the governor's asked, he wrote a letter, email yesterday, just send it to the courts. I think that's the wrong way to do it. We were prepared to go forward, and I was surprised with the governor. I mean, yesterday between that and the Supreme Court justices we were trying to pick, it was just a incredibly interesting, but I think partisan day from my Democrat friends.
Well, I mean, what was the motivation for him to do this? For them for the Democrats to shut this down? I don't understand.
Remember, look at the outside just yesterday. He is working with the George Soros-funded group to try to overturn state lines in state after state after state in America. And he's doing it for one reason. I've said this before. His sole reason for getting up every morning is to elect Hillary Clinton in 2016. Yeah. Republicans have a majority congressional seats, and he is trying to redistricting. I was on your program a month or so ago. Remember, he was trying to take off on the voter application forms that you had to be a citizen.
Yeah.
You had to state you were a citizen.
They had to certify you were a citizen.
You had to state what your Social Security number was.
Yeah.
This kind of basic security things this governor was trying to remove. I think that's look, some people want to be governor and govern. Some people want to be partisans and be chairman of the DNC. I think that's still what Terry McAuliffe is. He's once chairman of the DNC, always chairman.
But what many people may not, in listening to this interview, may not understand is that this is really not the way things traditionally work in the Commonwealth of Virginia. I mean, there are politics always at play, but generally, at the end of the day, both sides find a way to come together and they find some middle ground. It's not as partisan in Virginia as it is traditionally in other places.
It hasn't been. And in fact, yesterday on the House floor, we bantered back and forth about the Virginia way. This is not the Virginia way. It's not the Virginia way when you try to change the voter application forms. It's not the Virginia way when you call a redistricting session and then you think it's not going exactly like you want and you adjourn. But guys, it's not the Virginia way when Democrats were just being vicious, and they're accusing Republicans of playing gender politics, racial politics. I get tired of it all. But look, we've got to keep fighting and doing the right thing. What do they say?
Yeah, it should be noted that when you had to suspend activity in the House of Delegates because the Senate had voted to adjourn, you were in the middle of getting testimony from a representative of the National Organization for Women. So, clearly you misogynistic, women-hating Republicans were trying to steamroll some sort of redistricting in without anyone having a say. So here's what I don't understand, and I'm still trying to get an answer here, Delegate Hugo.
Sure.
Federal court said, Virginia legislators, you've got to come up with a new redistricting plan. This is a court order. So you're doing what you need to do. You have your session. It gets suspended. So now Terry McAuliffe is going to say, okay, we're giving it back to the courts. Which courts exactly? Is it the state Supreme Court? And is that going to satisfy what, number one, the federal court wanted, and number two, what the voters of Virginia elected you to do?
It'll have to go back to that federal court, but it will. I don't know. That was the whole thing. That's why he should not have done this.
Yeah.
We have a process we were going through, and now he's just flipped it to the court and said, well, you know what? You draw a map.
So
he didn't even get – he calls us back in session. He says, draw a map. We're in the midst of drawing a map. He doesn't even give us 24 hours to try to get a map to him.
Here's what
we were going to go through the map. We had a series of hearings set up in the next few days to do it. We were planning on coming back the 31st to finalize the map, maybe the 24th, and he cut it short after being in session less than 12 hours.
Listen, I know that you guys are going to be talking about this quite a bit, you guys meaning the Republicans in the House of Delegates and in the Senate. Can I bottom line this for you? Tell me if I'm wrong here, but it seems to me, based on what you're telling me, Terry McAuliffe, governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia, trusts a federally appointed court to draw the districts for the Commonwealth of Virginia. He trusts that federally appointed court from Washington, D.C., more than he trusts the representatives duly elected by the people of Virginia. Is that basically what we're saying here?
I think that's fair to say. And I think, guys, he didn't even give us a chance. We came back. Yep. We were trying. He didn't even give us a chance to try to do what the court asked us to do.
All right, quickly, bring us up to speed on where we are with the effort to change out the Supreme Court judge.
Well, as people may know, it's the Virginia General Assembly's responsibility to pick judges except when we're in session. We were out of session, but we were coming back. The governor rushed through a new judge. She's very well qualified. I have nothing ill to say about her. My problem is, the Democrats, we had a pick who is a distinguished, well-thought-of, well-deserved African-American jurist that the Republicans in the General Assembly wanted to appoint. Democrats have been trashing him. They trashed him, dragged him through the mud in hearing yesterday. One Democrat on the floor yesterday said, the judge from the Democrats was the only one qualified to handle all the complex issues that come, before the Supreme Court. So I got up and said, are you saying that a distinguished African-American judge can't handle complex issues?
Huh.
Oh, well, yeah, it's exactly what you said. It was an implied, backhanded, subtle racism from a liberal leftist.
Yeah. By the way, the nation's first African-American governor, Doug Wilder, is on the Republican side on this, and he slammed his fellow Democrat, Terry McAuliffe, about this action. So hopefully we'll get the right justice on that court.
Yeah. Well, listen.
But here's the problem. Since the Democrats are now trying, I think, unconstitutionally to adjourn, what's going to happen, the governor will try to appoint her to another interim temporary appointment, and we'll see how that works. We are in the midst right now of trying to go through the legal maneuvers to figure out they can't adjourn. The Constitution says the Senate can't adjourn for more than 3 days without the House. I think that's going to be a big fight. There might be ambiguity in the Constitution here and there. It's pretty direct.
Delegate Hugo, we got to leave it there.
More than 3 days.
We will keep our eye on Richmond, and we'll see what happens next. Thank you for that.